grade 9 learners. Nice to see you again. We are now on the 4th quarter. It simply implies that you have come this far despite of the new normal we have today. Few weeks from now, you can definitely say that you have survived this new normal education. You are almost there. Keep believing in yourself and continue doing your best. For today's video lesson, we will discuss judging the relevance and worth of ideas, soundness of author's reasoning, and effectiveness of the presentation. You can pause or replay this video lesson if you miss some parts or cannot understand some parts, especially on the given learning test. In this time of pandemic, at the digital age, online media play a crucial role as we obtain much of the needed information through many platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Each provides a rapid dissemination of information, which also allows us to access news to keep us updated. But we have to remember that not all the things that you see or hear on social media is true. Therefore, we should know how to assess and keep updated before we react or believe on a certain issue. Class, before we begin with our lesson, take a look first at the comic script. Afterwards, read the conversation between the two characters, namely Clara and Mario, because later on, I will ask you some questions with regard to it. Pay attention carefully with the given details. Let's start.
Clara says, have you read the Facebook post circulating online since April 2? It was confirmed that the UK variant has already reached our neighboring town, Lucban, Quezon. According to my friend who resides in the said town, the alleged person who tested positive is a medical professional who attended to a deceased patient. I am worried about my relatives who live there. I hope they are fine.
Mario says, I think you are worrying for nothing because earlier today, April 4, 2021, I have read some news from Inquirer.net published by news correspondent Delphine P. Malyari Jr. Based on the article, the Municipal Health Office of Lucban had clarified the said issue. According to them, the mayor only wanted to quote one of the medical professionals who attended to the deceased patient. There is a big possibility that it was caused by a UK variant, but there is no confirmatory test performed yet. They have also added that they are already trying to process a genome sequencing of a direct contact of the late patient. And the local executive only wanted the residents to be vigilant and safe.
Class, upon hearing and reading the conversation between Clara and Mario, which statement is more convincing? Is it Clara's or Mario's? And in choosing between Clara's and Mario's statement, what are the things that you have considered in making your choice? Very good. So, As we observe from both characters' statements, we must firstly locate some sustainable assertion parts while reading both discussions. From Mario's statement, he has various authentic information, including the author, the publication information, which is the date, and reliable sources, while Clara's statements are unprovided nor convincing, since she only gives credence to her friend who lives in the said town. If you are going to pay attention on the dialogue, Clara mentioned about a source. And what are her sources? Her sources are a Facebook post circulating online and her friend who resides in Lukban, Quezon. How about Marius? What is his source of information? That's it. Very good. His main source of information is a news article published in Inquirer.net. What is the impact of unconfirmed information circulating online? Yes, precisely. Very good. Unconfirmed information can create confusion and misunderstanding about important social and political issues. Even your grades may get lower by the use of stories that have misleading information. It may also harm your health, especially trusting false stories of medical treatments, and makes it hard for people to see the truth. What do you suggest to listeners or readers? Yes, that's it. We should sanitize before we believe and share it publicly. Question yourself if you are sure that you want to share it. If not, or undecided, try to do a quick research that aims at hypotheses that includes reliable sources, public information, reliable company, organizations, governments, and author. Once you have followed these steps, you may find credible evidence that a post isn't true and alert others in a reply. As we try to gather information from various sources or platforms to keep us updated, our capability to judge the truthfulness and relevance of ideas is important. So, we must remember that before we believe the articles or materials that we have read, we must check it first if it is factual or misleading. Thus, we must know the different tips on how to distinguish factual or truthful information. First, we must define what relevance and truth means.
When we say relevance, this is how appropriate something is to what is being said at a given time. It is how appropriate an information is, how related it is to the issue being discussed, or it implies any data that applies to the situation or problem that can help find a solution. And when we say truth, it is something that has been proven by facts or sincerity.
Where does fake news come from? Fake news is nothing new, but what is new is how easy it's become to share information, both true and false, on a massive scale. Social media platforms allow almost anyone to put their thoughts or share stories to the world. The trouble is, most people don't know the source of material that they view online. before they share it, which can lead to fake news spreading quickly or going viral. At the same time, it's become harder to identify the original source of news stories, which can make it difficult to assess their accuracy. This has led to a flood of fake news, but not all fake news stories are found online. Co-workers who gossip by water cooler while browsing print publications that fail to check the facts. For example, these are also guilty of spreading misinformation, even if inadvertently. So, how do we do that?
First, you have to consider the source. We must investigate the site that you are reading or viewing. If you come across a story from a source that you've never heard of before, do some digging.
Be aware that people who spread fake news and alternative facts sometimes create web pages, newspaper markups, or doctored images that look official but aren't. So if you see a suspicious post that looks like it's from the World Health Organization, for example, check the WHO's own site to verify that it's really there. Remember, even if you got the story from your best friend, this gives it no extra authority. They likely didn't follow these steps themselves before forwarding.
Second, read beyond. Headlines can be outrageous in an effort to get clicks, so you should focus on the whole story. You have to read and look for details such as statistics, date, name, and others.
So, a credible news story includes plenty of facts. It includes posts from experts, survey data, official statistics, for example. If these things are missing, question it. Does the evidence prove that something definitely happened? Or have the facts been selected or twisted, like particular people?
Third, check the author. Do a quick search on the author to find out if they are real and credible.
You can check the writer on social media accounts and look for a blue check mark on their names on Facebook or Twitter. This means their profession has been verified and they are who say they are. An article without a bar line is not factual, so always do check it. What else?
We have number 4, verify supporting sources. Determine if the given situation actually supports the story.
When a writer makes a claim, the position should be backed with supporting details and examples. These details supply evidence that defends the validity of the claim, and they should be relevant, credible, and verifiable.
And number 5, check the date. Reposting old news stories does not mean they are relevant to current events. It should be updated.
Reposting old news stories does not mean they are relevant and current events. It should be updated. Old stories are often reposted or repacked on social media. Check the date and make sure the information is current, accurate, and relevant. And for ongoing news events, be sure to read widely and track the stories over time so that your knowledge is up to date.
And last one, check on biases. Consider if your own beliefs could affect your judgment.
Finally, use your common sense. Bear in mind that fake news designed to feed your biases, hopes, and fears. Biased information tries to change your mind, how you think. Being aware of bias and knowing how to identify, analyze, and assimilate biased information is a skill to be treasured. It puts you in charge of how you think instead of the print and media world. I hope that you have learned something from our discussion. Now, we're going to discuss the importance of evidence and how to evaluate them. First, we must define what does it mean when we say evidence. Who can define evidence? Anyone? Very good.
How to validate an evidence. When we say evidence, it is the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid.
A credible news story includes plenty of facts, quotes from experts, survey data, and official statistics, for example, or detailed, consistent, and corroborated eyewitness accounts from people on the scene. If these are missing, question it. Thus, the evidence proved that something definitely happened, or have the facts been selected or twisted to back up a particular viewpoint. In order for us to validate pieces of evidence, we need to be familiarized with the following steps.
We have the steps on how to validate pieces of evidence. First one, identify the point or the claim that the author or speaker is trying to tell you. And number two, identify specific facts, data, statistics, or examples that support the point, or in this step, we look for evidence. And number three, explain how the pieces of evidence are related to the claim.
Let us take a look and study this given example.
From the given statement, what could be the point or claim of the author? Very good. We should set a limit in playing computer games. What evidence supports the claim of the author? That's it. In my experience, spending so much time on computer games prevent me from submitting my learning modules on time, which resulted to failing grades. And lastly, what is the relation of the evidence to the point or claim? Exactly! The audience reflects the possible outcome of excessive online gaming based on the speaker's experiences.
Now, let us also have the 4 types of evidence. Let us test your understanding as we identify the type of evidence that corresponds to each statement. Let's start with the activity. whether you have learned something from our topic. In today's video lesson, we are going to have an activity. Take a look at this Facebook post. Remember this, checking the legitimacy of information will keep us from being a victim of fake news or faulty information. While, as a receiver of information, we need to sharpen our skill in judging the relevance and worth of one's ideas, since we may have to use it as basis of our personal decisions in some situations. We have the points to consider in evaluating the truthfulness of information. First, we have the source, the author, details, supporting sources, date, and biases. And in validating pieces of evidence, we have the following steps to follow. First, identify the point or the claim that the author or speaker is trying to tell you. And second one, identify specific facts, data, statistics, or examples that support the point. And the last one, explain how the pieces of evidence are related to the claim. Always keep in mind the 4 kinds of evidences whenever you listen to information, so that it can give sound feedback and response when being asked. What are these again? First, we have statistical evidence. Second one, testimonial evidence. Third is the anecdotal evidence. And last, analogical evidence. Let us test your understanding as we read the given selection and answer some questions that follows. Very good. You have answered all the questions. That's great. Means that you have understood the lesson. For your additional activity, let us verify your answers on the first activity, which is the conversation between Clara and Mario. by accomplishing the table, and do a fact-checking whether the given item is clearly provided by the speaker. Is it clear, class? Do you have any queries or any questions? Okay, let us start. Job well done, class. I can confidently say that you are able to understand the coverage of our video lesson for today. I want to end this session with a quote by David Hume. A wise man proportions his belief to the evidence. So, be a wise man. Congratulations in advance as you end this school year, wearing your precious smiles as you finish another phase of your education. Thank you for your time, and God bless.